Sakai voice.
Sakai voice.
I find it quite funny that like you sometimes hear some lyrics and you're like it's very kind of weird. I think sometimes it's a bit funny, it's a bit weird, but other times I think it's quite nice to hear. But Natalie, I'm 26. I'm a sales advisor, but essentially work in retail. I really like the culture and I always have. It's the second time this year, so I came in the summer and then I'm here again for a few months. So I came after the pandemic. So I came in June this year and then I came in, been 2 weeks since I've been here. I like everything about it really, like the culture, like the media sort of side of it, obviously like the anime, the music, things like that. And then obviously the landscape and like the architecture and stuff is I think really pretty. And like I like that there's so much contrast between like old and new, like you'd be in like a major city and then you just find like a shrine and things, and I think that's really nice. And I mean the food's really good as well. The food is really good. Yeah. Well, I was trying to like study the language like at home, and I thought that it'd be better for me to kind of immerse myself in it a bit more. And so it kind of like set me on like the path of like trying to find different places to kind of like stay. So I'm here for another like month, and then I'm going to be off to Kyoto for another couple of months. So and then I'm going to like a language school over there. I think my biggest thing is like I get nervous when like talking to people. So one of my favourites is Jujutsu Kaisen. It's one of my favourites. Like Violet Evergarden, I really like that one. Yeah, I do like Japanese bands. So like One OK Rock, I quite like as well, and they sing partly in Japanese and partly in English. But it's not sort of too bad. I think sometimes I find it quite funny that like you sometimes hear some lyrics and you're like it's very kind of weird because it doesn't really make sense when you think about like it, but I think it's quite an interesting thing that trying to combine the two kind of like languages together is quite sort of nice. I think sometimes it's a bit funny, it's a bit weird, but other times I think it's quite nice to hear. But I mean, obviously in England there is some old architecture as well as like the new ones together, but I think it's here you see it kind of more, and it's like a bigger kind of difference. I think going to like the food and stuff like that is quite a big difference. Like there's some stuff here that it's like I wouldn't have kind of obviously like normally gone for at home, like some like say fish dishes and things like that, which you would never see in like the UK. But I'm always open to kind of like trying a few things. Say everyone's obviously very nice and stuff here and things like that, but everyone's very quiet compared to like back home. And like on like trains and things like that, it's like quite often it can be just sort of like silent, which is like quite different. There's another difference I was thinking of like between like Japan and the UK is the prices. Everything here is very cheap. And that's what I've been very surprised about is that like I managed to sort of like get a 2 week sort of like stay in a hotel in like say Tokyo for probably the price of what it'd be for like 3 nights in London. Like so it's like London is very expensive, but even if you were to stay like somewhere else, even like further up north and stuff like that, it would still be quite a bit more expensive. And like the amount of food you get for such a small amount of like money compared to like back home for essentially the same thing, you'd be paying at least like double or triple the price. And that's like even where I'm from, and it's slightly cheaper from where I am. The only thing that really kind of comes to mind is that they're very much like, if you're struggling with something, people will more likely just watch your struggle rather than kind of helping. Like I had that yesterday. I was trying to move like the suitcase, and I was struggling to like get it onto like the train, for example, and people were kind of like just kind of like pushing past me to sort of like get on and off the train, and then my suitcase like slightly tipped, and then just everyone just like stood and just like watched. Whereas for me personally, if I saw that happen to someone, I would go and try and help. Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of like availability. I mean, I live in the city, so it's like you still have like a lot of kind of like availability to kind of like get to places, but things like public transport isn't anywhere near as good as what it is in Japan. That's one of the like the amazing things about here, is that you can just easily sort of jump on a train and then everything is pretty much on time all the time. Whereas like back home and stuff like that, if you're waiting for a bus, you might not necessarily get it, like, because it'll like maybe turn up maybe like half an hour late and things like that. Like trains, there's quite often like cancellations and things like that, and whereas like the trains here, they're practically like every 10 minutes or something, or even less. Whereas back home, you'd be waiting at least like half an hour, like 45 minutes. I mean, I would say that like a lot of Japanese people seem friendly, but it's like, I'd say where I live especially, people will like quite happy to kind of like just like chat to you if you like sort of like want to and things like that. Whereas I think here people tend to avoid that a little bit more. So it's like, it's quite nice that I think, especially around where I live, it's like you just walk past someone and they'd be like, hey, you're right. Like, you're not necessarily wanting a response from anyone, but just kind of acknowledging kind of your existence, for example. Just like getting like for gigs, for example, like going to like concerts. That I think it's an easier thing over in the UK. I don't think there's been anything kind of like too big. I know there's a lot of like protests and things that are going on at the moment in regards to like the Gaza and like things like that. I know there's been in a lot of cities, there's been big sort of like protests. Yeah, it's unfortunately I don't know probably enough about like the entire situation to really kind of like give too much of an opinion on it. But obviously I don't fully like. I agree with I think like the protests and things like that. I think because they should be sort of like pulling out and things like that of like Gaza, so they shouldn't be kind of like doing all what they're kind of doing. I don't agree with any like stuff like the wars and stuff, essentially like Ukraine and things like that as well. It's yeah, they definitely are. One OK Rock, so they're quite a bit bigger over there. Like yeah, they are. Because I remember seeing like them like. There's a magazine that I used to read about like 10 years ago, and I saw them in that magazine, so that's where I first knew of those. But then like, for example, Cold Rain, I'd say still most people don't really like know much about them. I mean, I don't think from what I kind of saw, they don't sort of tour like the UK very often. And I only really heard of them initially from an anime. So they did Fire Force, other stuff as well. And then I started to kind of like know them from that. And then I think obviously if you can get over and potentially doing like a few like festivals and things like that, because it's like, even if you don't sort of like know, so people just sort of like walk into say like a tent or something like that and go, oh, these are quite good, I might start listening to them.
Test Australia, Canberra. I'm 24. I'm a teacher. A primary school, so all the subjects. Just for fun, I've always wanted to come to Japan, and it's school holidays in Canberra now, so I thought I'd come over and check it out. The nature, the onsens, Mount Fuji, lots of things. The bullet trains, wanted to see that, and also I've heard that the people are lovely, and that's true. I think just because it's different here, I like the climate here. It's beautiful. I don't know, so many reasons because of the big cities here. So I'll do some hikes around Kyoto and walking around there. But no, I've been checking out a lot of the green spaces here in Tokyo, like Yogyo Park. Yeah. Yep, Kyoto, Hiroshima, Tokyo. I'll try and go up to Fukushima. But yeah, just sort of going as I go. Haven't really planned that much. I think everyone here has been so friendly. Everyone I talk to, the people at the train stations and things like that, they've all been so keen to help. Yeah, I don't know. I've never been to a city this big before in my life. That's been really interesting. Yes, very different. So much bigger. The rail system is so much better here compared to Australia. So much better. Just to explore, there's a teacher at my work, a Japanese teacher, and she's really lovely. And I just think the Japanese culture is so interesting. The fashion, how friendly everyone is, the movies, just things like that. And I just thought I'd come here. Yeah. Well, I'm from Canberra, so that's a pretty progressive place where people aren't as racist. You know, people are accepting and things like that. So yeah, there are lots of Asian people and they just, yeah, fit in. I don't really know. I know that sort of like in Queensland, people can be a bit backward there, but honestly, anyone who comes to Australia and who lives here, like lives there, they're one of us.
My name is Alice. I'm 31. I am an office worker, I guess. No, it's actually for the federal government of Canada. Mainly just deal with like temporary resident applications. I've always wanted to come here, but I think I've been a fan of Japan since I was little. Like I was really into like anime and Sailor Moon, and then as I grew up, I learned more about the culture and the food. So yeah. It's been awesome. I love it here. If I could move here, I would, but then I would need like a job. Best experience was probably, there's too many to choose, but I really liked going to the torii gates in Kyoto. It was really beautiful. Like the countryside is really beautiful here and really like green and fresh. I don't really know if I've had a worse experience. It's all been good so far. I really like Osaka and Hiroshima. But I also like Tokyo for different reasons. If you could like combine all of them, it would be like perfect. Best thing in Tokyo, we went to Odaiba. Yeah, it was really pretty. It was like modern, but still like very green. And it was really beautiful, and it was like nice to walk around. And it wasn't as busy as like more of the inner city, but it was still like, yeah, it wasn't crowded. Like it was very chill. So I would say maybe here people keep more to themselves. I think from what I've experienced, like where I'm from, people are like always talking, like in public. Here, people are very quiet, which isn't a bad thing. It's kind of, you kind of feel like you can't really say anything, like on the train or something. Because I was traveling with friends, and like when they would talk on the train, I'd just be like, ah! But everybody's like so nice. So yeah, we're experiencing like an issue with housing. Like I don't think there's that much housing available. There's been an influx of like immigration. So we have a lot of people coming to Canada, but not a lot of like housing. So housing prices have gone up, and even buying a house is like impossible now, even if you have like a double income family. So yeah, that's been a little frustrating. And yeah, pricing, it took us a while to find a good place to live in because we rent. And thankfully we got one right before everything started getting really expensive, and we locked it in for 2 years. But come next year, we have to renew our lease, so they might change the price. We might have to find somewhere else, but I guess we'll deal with that when it comes. I would say maybe like learn a little bit of Japanese. Otherwise, it's been like really great. People have been really accommodating. Even if you don't know Japanese, a lot of people here speak English. A lot of people are very nice. They'll help you like as much as they can. I would say explore the countryside. Don't just focus on Tokyo, and just like explore all of Japan. Eat all the food. If you like see something on Instagram that you want to check out, try, but there's probably going to be a lineup. But like, just like try something else that you haven't seen. Like go to a random place. It's probably really good. So.